If Islam becomes the welterweight world champion, for sure I'm gonna push for that shot also, and I will move to the welterweight division.
That's the way that story went, just so you understand it. Now, if Ilia Topuria is truly chasing down Islam, if that is the great story, Topuria versus Islam, go chase him down.
Topuria said that he might have to catch Islam at 170. What do you think about that idea? Ilia would have to go up to welterweight to fight Islam, because he wants to fight Islam so bad.
Listen, we'll see how this thing plays out. He just moved up. We're already talking about him going to 170. I mean, he just moved up. Let's see how he does in this fight, and we'll see how Islam does, and they definitely want to fight each other.
Ilia Topuria recently set off massive debate within the MMA world by saying that if Islam Makhachev wins the welterweight title at 170 pounds, he is ready to move up and trail him. This announcement came in an interview in which Topuria described his long-term goals beyond featherweight and lightweight classes. For all his competitive edge, Topuria was categorical that this had nothing to do with seeking clout. This was all about seeking legacy. His words were blunt: if Islam makes history, he's prepared to catch him there to make history of his own.
If Islam becomes the welterweight world champion, for sure I'm gonna push for that shot also, and I will move to the welterweight division.
Analyst and past title challenger Chael Sonnen echoed Topuria's comments with wholehearted approval. Sonnen complimented Topuria's mentality, referring to it as a laudable choice from a fighter who gets the game and the show. Chasing greatness over divisions is how legends are created, and Topuria's desire to go after the toughest available matches says everything about his champion mindset, in the opinion of Chael. Sonnen underscored that such ambition, particularly so early in a champion's career, is not common, and he commended Topuria for targeting the toughest opportunities out there.
That's the way that story went, just so you understand it. Now, if Ilia Topuria is truly chasing down Islam, if that is the great story, Topuria versus Islam, go chase him down.
When UFC President Dana White was questioned on the prospect of Ilia Topuria going up to welterweight to battle Islam Makhachev, he seemed visibly perplexed. White observed that Topuria was fresh from the transition into the lightweight division, and it was too early to be talking about another switch so early on. In an acknowledgement of Topuria's great potential, Dana confirmed that the UFC had not entertained or talked about making any plans for him at 170 pounds. The reply expressed a certain level of shock, as this notion is in the formative stage.
Topuria said that he might have to catch Islam at 170. What do you think about that idea? Ilia would have to go up to welterweight to fight Islam, because he wants to fight Islam so bad.
Listen, we'll see how this thing plays out. He just moved up. We're already talking about him going to 170. I mean, he just moved up. Let's see how he does in this fight, and we'll see how Islam does, and they definitely want to fight each other.
Speculation grew only when fresh training video emerged, featuring Ilia Topuria sparring with larger welterweights and disarming the size differential with ease. The video highlighted his power, timing, and poise, qualities that are paramount at the upper level of any division. Fans and pundits started discussing whether a jump to 170 was not just feasible, but even successful. While critics point out that the physical jump is too drastic, others feel Topuria's technical skill and mental toughness can make him an actual threat in the welterweight division. Topuria's seriousness regarding the move was again highlighted in a different interview, where he sounded disappointed at not being able to meet Islam Makhachev at lightweight. He spoke candidly of his frustration over how rapidly things were changing, and how the possibility of that highly publicized bout could slip through his fingers. It was an epiphany moment for Topuria. This wasn't about marketing hype, it was about a fighter's desire to prove himself against the best, and the understanding that time and division changes would make that ideal difficult to achieve.
I'm very happy with the fight, to be honest. I was expecting to fight another guy, which is Islam Makhachev, but unfortunately he ran away. And now we are facing Charles Oliveira, another legendary fighter.
He went on to say he never thought Islam would even be thinking about such a change at this point in his career. Topuria had envisioned a situation in which their careers would intersect organically at lightweight, leading the way to a historic showdown. The possibility Islam would leave the division before they ever engage was not something Topuria seemed to have foreseen. Although that has not come to fruition, he continued to show respect for Makhachev's accomplishments and restated that should the opportunity present itself at 170, he would switch, regardless of the physical toll or competitive hazard.
To be honest, I don't know. He decided to move up to the next weight division, as I did. He talked too much in the beginning, but finally, like when he had to take a final decision, he decided to run away. I wasn't expecting that from him, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm fighting for the gold, which was my main goal since the beginning.
When Daniel Cormier was asked this, he highlighted Slam Makhachev's strength and mentioned a previous grappling session that opened his eyes to how powerful Islam actually is. DC said the second they locked up, he could feel Islam's strength and control right away, describing it as a level of strength. He was clear that this brutal, functional power isn't just for display, it's what makes Islam such an overwhelming presence. In Cormier's opinion, that level of strength would be suffocating for someone like Ilia moving up in weight.
There's been moments where we're in practice and I'm going with Khabib or Islam and I'm the big guy. So generally, a smaller guy gets on top of you. When you decide it's over, you just throw him off of you. Yep. No technique, no skills. You just literally grab him and you kind of throw him off of you. I'm grappling with Islam once and I try to throw him off of me, but he's still there. And so I give him a little harder shove and he's still there. Next thing you know, I'm grappling at 100% because the dude's that strong. But again, I had never really grappled with him in that way, like at a decent pace. So I didn't recognize the strength when he was trying to keep me down.
Aron Pico also weighed in, agreeing with Cormier's assessment of Islam Makhachev's strength. As a top-level wrestler himself, Pico stressed how grappling with someone like Islam isn't technically about technique. It's about having to deal with relentless pressure and physical dominance. He concurred that Ilia Topuria, no matter his striking and momentum, would be dealing with a different type of challenge if he got into the cage with Makhachev.
That's what a champion essentially is supposed to look like. Yeah. Make the calls, go out there, deliver on the calls, then all of a sudden vacates the title. I mean, how do you feel? Because you said earlier, like you were looking at him and going, there's holes here.
I think it's good for the sport, to be honest with you. I mean, him and Islam, I mean, people really want to see that. Everybody has their own style, and it seems like his style is just doing what he did. Honestly, I believe Islam is just a little too much for him, but I'm also a fan, you know, so I would have loved to see that.
Joe Rogan also chimed in, pointing to Islam Makhachev's dominating victory over Charles Oliveira as proof of his strength and grappling prowess. Rogan pointed out how Islam was able to dominate Oliveira on the mat, something that most believed would be a problem with Oliveira's submission abilities. To Rogan, that fight proved not only Makhachev's striking and fight IQ, but also his will to impose and physically overwhelm top-level fighters. Joe made it clear that whoever enters the cage with Islam would have to contend with his overwhelming grappling pressure.
Islam's choke must be otherworldly.
To do that to Charles,
the moment he's passing Charles's tapping, like his squeeze has got to be off the fucking charts. I talked to DC about it. I go, his fucking squeeze must be, he goes, oh, dope. I had him demonstrate a choke on me. And I thought it was gonna be fun. They're like, show me how you do that. Show me how you do it. He goes, dude. When he grabbed a hold of me, I was like, oh, this guy's gonna choke me. And that's DC.
Yeah, DC's a thick man.
He's look at him, right? 2-division champion. The moment he gets to the side, watch this pass, slaps it down.
Charles, yeah.
The most submissions in the history of the UFC. And he taps like that.
Yeah. Charles' little ruzzy he had right there with Chandler, Gaethje,
Poirier. Yeah. Yeah, he tapped every. Yeah. He's a monster. Charles is a guy that just changed, fighting this do or die assassin.
Tom Aspinall, however, was not in agreement with the general view, being certain that Ilia Topuria possesses the ability to submit to Islam Makhachev. Aspinall identified Ilia's excellent grappling and submission game, betting that Topuria's all-around skill set could catch Islam by surprise. He thinks Ilia's aggressive, high-paced style may be the answer to keeping Makhachev guessing, and if the fight does go to the mat, Ilia has the grappling skills to potentially win with a submission. It's a brash call, but Aspinall does see a way for Topuria to win.
Ilia's come out saying he's going to be the first person to submit Islam. How do you see that? Do you think he can do that?
Love the confidence. Love the confidence. And I think a lot of people, they look at Ilia and people like that and think, oh, this guy's cocky. But I love it, you know. I'm like, that's what I need to aim for, is that level of confidence.
The difference is it's not cockiness, it's confidence.
I mean, it probably is a bit of cockiness, but I like it anyway. I think it's a tough task. I think if anyone can do it, I wouldn't count him out, do you know what I mean? I think Islam is like unbelievable, obviously. He's got a chance. I'm saying he's got a chance. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but I'm saying he's got a chance.
Moving on, Ilia Topuria reiterated that confidence, indicating that he is certain he can submit Islam Makhachev should the fight reach the mat. Ilia's confidence was on display when he talked about his grappling, noting that while Islam is a strong opponent, he has dealt with difficult challenges in the past and is capable of adjusting.
Ilia Topuria just said that he will make Islam Makhachev submit in front of Khabib, and you need to see this.
You ask me, I feel that I have the advantage in everything. This is what I truly believe. Me personally, I would ask him like, what's your favorite submission? Whatever, I don't know. Dark show. I'm gonna submit you with that.
This is a guy that's trained and coached by Khabib, who, 28-0, stories that he's never lost a round in his life.
I take him close to Khabib. I will submit him closer to Khabib.
You submit him in front of Khabib?
Yeah. I take him. Khabib used to take people and he shoulder take them down and talk to Dana. I would do it to Khabib. Like, I will take him, but
and then talk to Khabib.
Talk to Khabib. Khabib, I have to do it.
What would you tell him?
No, I wouldn't. Like, all the respect, but this is how I feel. I feel that I submit him with the darts.
But that's not the path Islam Makhachev feels is in his best interest for his legacy. During a sit-down with Demetrius Johnson, Islam spoke about how he feels about going up to 170 pounds, indicating that it would be in his best interest for his long-term career and legacy. Makhachev conceded that though he's impressive at lightweight, rising to welterweight would be a new test and a welcome opportunity to cement his legacy among the greats. To Islam, the challenge of meeting new opponents at 170 looked more intriguing than remaining stuck at lightweight.
You're tired of giving small people the opportunity to come up and challenge you, right? Ilia Topuria is talking about coming to 155, and you're like, I'm tired of these little people coming up to fight me.
I just will waiting for my chance, because not makes sense give the chance third time from the some guy who come. If I beat, I beat the Volkanovski twice. People still say, you be a bit small guy, he's not your weight division. If I beat Topuria, it's gonna be same. Everybody gonna talk same. But if I go up, takes a second belt, this is a legacy.
Yeah.
I want to be like...
Chael Sonnen's contention was that a bout with Ilia Topuria would prove harder for Islam Makhachev than going up against 170 division opponents. Sonnen noted that even though the lightweight division is full of talented fighters, Topuria offers a combination of power, aggression, and grappling that might cause more issues for Makhachev. He highlighted that Islam's typical approach, based on control and pressure, may not be as effective against Ilia's high pace and dynamic skill set, so it would be a harder fight than some people would anticipate.
There is no size difference between Ilia and Islam. It's a 145 versus a 155. Do 45 pounders and 55 pounders not know? You weigh the same thing. You're talking about a 10-pound spread in the worst of cases. Are you aware that Muhammad Ali, when he was the heavyweight champion of the world, weighed 198 pounds? George St. Pierre versus Michael Bisping comes to mind. Lighter of the two, George St. Pierre, winner. I don't know how Ilia would do with Islam. I'm just blown away by the analysis that he would have no chance. That's very strong language. What piece of history are you basing an advantage to the larger guy? I would love an answer. Tell me a time that the lighter guy got outmanned. Every wrestler knows the hardest guy to take on is the top guy from one weight class below you.
In the meantime, Belal Muhammad did not agree with Ilia Topuria jumping directly into a bout against Islam Makhachev. He thinks Topuria must earn his stripes in the lightweight division first before receiving a title opportunity against the champ. In Belal's view, although Elia's featherweight achievements are impressive, deserving a title bout at 155 means defeating top contenders in the same weight class.
The people never want to give Team Habib their respect, right? They want to see them lose so bad. They just want to, shun them and, put hate on them no matter what it is. Where like when he beats Volkanovski, who was the pound for pound best fighter in the world at that time in a close fight, it was like, oh, he sucks, blah, blah, blah. He didn't finish him. He should have finished him. He's a 45er. Then he goes out there, finishes him. And it's like, well, Volkanovski was a 45er. So now Topuria, I think he's a little bit smaller than Volkanovski. He's going to move up. And then if Islam dominates him, oh, well, he's a 45er. He could go back down. So there's really nothing to gain for Islam from fighting him. So when he says, oh, let him fight somebody else, earn it, like, he's not saying I won't fight him. He's saying, bro, let him earn it.
With that sentiment in mind, Chael Sonnen presented alternative scenarios for Ilia Topuria if he climbs up to lightweight. Rather than going directly into a title bout, Chael presented battles against Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, or even Paddy Pimblett. He thinks these fights would help Topuria build credibility at 155 while building even more hype. Going up against names like Oliveira or Arman would put Ilia against top-level competition, and a fight against Paddy would create enormous buzz.
Who would you like to see Ilia fight, knowing it's not going to be Islam? Islam's going to have something to do. The current belief is Gaethje. What do you want to do with Ilia? Gaethje, Islam, off the board. Poirier, Max, off the board. You're at Tsarukyan. We're told about this Georgia thing. We're told that those guys won't fight. That doesn't work anywhere within the UFC. You got Charles, you got Tsarukyan, you got Paddy the Baddy. Who would you put with Ilia Topuria? Those are your options.
On the possibility of Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria actually being made, MMA Guru sided with Ilia as the possible winner. He cited Topuria's explosive striking, slick jiu-jitsu, and relentless confidence as major factors. Guru believed that Ilia's speed and fight IQ could pose real issues for Islam, particularly early in the bout.
Who wins, Ilia or Islam? Chimaev or DDP? Izzy or Sean? Ilia Topuria, mate. Ilia wins, flatline KO, and then teabags Makhachev's face live on pay-per-view, balls out and everything. They have to cancel the fucking pay-per-view and have an apology message up on the screen via ESPN. UFC loses their sponsorships.
But Michael Bisping took the exact opposite view, strongly advocating for Islam Makhachev in a possible bout with Ilia Topuria. Bisping complimented Topuria's ability, but highlighted Islam's dominance, experience, and all-around game as huge plus factors. He noted Islam has had no problem with elite-level opposition at lightweight, and that he thinks Topuria, having stepped up from featherweight, would have trouble with Islam's size, power, and wrestling pressure.
Topuria versus Islam Makhachev, which is just a sensational blockbuster, and there's some other huge matchups out there as well. Anyway, what do you think? Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be Islam, but what do you think about everything what I said?
Catch you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fight talk.